Oh man, dude, look at this fuel pump. This thing is totally fucked up. Today we're going to be working on this gas tank from my 1976 Trans Am twin turbo. Well, this gas tank has seen a couple of iterations over the years. When I first built this Trans Am, I cut off the size and shortened it down because of the mini tubbing that I was doing. And at the time I had the whole gas tank sandblasted to remove all the rust and crap inside. At that time I went ahead and put in this rear sump because I was using an Aeromotive fuel pump to suck fuel out of the back and push it up to my blow-through Demon carburetor. Since then I decided to go fuel injection, went with a high pressure fuel pump, a couple of wall bros, and I built this other sump where my fuel pumps were sitting in here. But I had sprung a leak to the degree that where I was losing gallons of gas from my tank every week, and it was stinking up my garage. So I decided to pull the gas tank out, flush it out, and do a little brazing around the side to fill in any minor gaps that may have been around the old welds. What I didn't do though is I didn't pull the pumps. Yeah, here you can see the fuel sock, the pickup that attaches to these Walbro pumps. Does a good job of resisting fuel and those corrosive elements, but they don't do a very good job with heat. And even somewhat low temperatures for brazing melted both of my socks and destroyed my pump, which wasn't the worst thing in the world. It turns out these Walbros are fake. I got two new Walbro pumps. And here they are, installed on my custom carrier assembly. My carrier is made of a piece of, I think, 2-inch exhaust tube that I cut into 3 pieces and tacked together so that my pumps would kind of fit snugly in there. It might be an 1.5-inch exhaust tube, but they fit really well in there. The socks are facing toward the back of the sump. And up on top, I've got -8 AN fittings for the feed and a -10 for the return. So lots of fuel out and lots of fuel back in. And of course I'm running dual pumps so that I'm running on just a single pump for the most part, driving around town, cruising at idle, all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't put a large stress on the fuel system. And then at about 80% throttle, the second pump comes on. So it's a 2-stage design. So it's been working well, even with the fake Chinese Walbros. But it's time to redo this tank. Alright, so this is my new fuel tank. I don't know if you can tell, but it is definitely wider than the old one over there. Brand new metal, nice and thick. It has been painted, so we'll have to take off some of this paint when we weld it back up, no biggie. But this is that vent that I told you about. We're going to heat this up and get this out of here. We're going to cut a new hole in here, and we're going to fit that fuel pump module to this new tank. I need to go in here and cut off a couple of inches off either side here, but I'm going to measure the old tank and double check all my measurements before I do any cutting. Alright, so these upper contour lines here are just a hair under 2 inches, so I'm going to sand this off all the way around this tank, and this is going to be my cut mark. Alright, well now that this is sanded down, I'm going to go ahead and use my blue tape to mark that edge a little bit nicer. And this is easy to see when you're grinding. Alright, well, before we weld this up, I want to go ahead and pull off this vent. So I'm going to remove this paint around here, and we'll get out the torch and we'll heat this up and see if we can pop this piece out. It's soldered into place, so it'll take a little bit of heat. Well, I lied. This piece is not soldered into place, okay? This is stamped and they just soldered the tube in there. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of metal work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut out a hole here in the middle, small hole, and we will hammer and dolly this piece flat here. Alright guys, well here is my fuel pump module minus the fuel pumps sitting inside the gas tank. I said, what I was thinking about doing, instead of drilling a few holes here and having a little sump underneath, which is prone to additional leakage because of the additional welds, I was thinking about just building myself a sump right around here. We'll have a few holes in there, of course, so they can pick up fuel and all, but it's basically kind of like a slosh tank that will allow fuel to get in. It will dump from the return back into this tank. But fuel will have a hard time just sloshing out of it. So maybe it would hold fuel in there a little bit better than just having the whole thing just kind of move around side to side here. Not sure of the design yet. We'll figure out something. Oh, and here's one of the pumps. The pumps will sit in here like this, kind of, sort of. It's like it's at a little bit of an angle there. Kind of fits the gas tank better. It's going upwards, but I want to try to keep the pickup more toward the center of the tank. So we'll place it there. Yeah, like that. Alright, so here you can see my pumps sitting at the bottom of the gas tank. I had to pound out one of these ribs down here to make sure the pump sat flat. I didn't want it off of the bottom of the tank. And I also went and took my body hammer and I kind of pounded it down just a little bit. I gave it a little bit of a depression there to help gather the fuel and to allow more fuel around the backside of the pickups. So that should help as well with fuel starvation. Now for the baffles. I just cut out some cardboard here. And you see what it's going to take to make these fit. This one kind of baffle it side to side. Alright, well here is my design. Basically it's just a 3/4 of a box with a flange on the inside that'll be able to tack into place around the pumps. And then we'll have a closeout panel out here where I can get to these welds out here. And of course you don't want to have this thing solid because fuel needs to be able to leak into this and get to the pump, but you don't want such large holes as to allow the fuel to slosh out when you're cornering or whatever. So I have the ability to kind of play around with this and pound it around to get it where I want to, but the next step is to go ahead and find some sheet metal and cut this out. Put this in like that. We'll have a few gaps on the bottom there. And this will close at the top. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this edge here. My line's a little off. Okay, well let's remove the fuel pump before we weld. That's pretty solid there. That's not going anywhere. Let's see how my penetration was. Oh, that's pretty good. Nice penetration into the metal. I don't think any of that's going to leak. I hope not. That should make a pretty strong baffle there. I was using a 030 wire in my MIG welder. I probably should have been using the 25 instead, but I got it done. I'll probably switch to the 25 before I do this outer tank edge. I'm going to try to weld these two pieces back together. It's not lining up that wonderful. I guess it's just a product of the stamping process. So I'm going to push things around as I weld, and we'll try to get this thing even. So So let's see how this 25 wire works. Alright, well now I got this tank end fully welded. Some of the welds are really nice, almost look like dimes stacked on top of each other. But then I start getting into a real hot zone, and all of a sudden, boom, I'll get a blowout through the sheet metal. I have to stop and let it cool down and try to fill in the hole and then keep going again. So it's kind of hit and miss on my welding. I want to keep it hot to try to minimize porosity. I want the metal to fuse itself together. But at this point, I think I just need to go ahead and grind it down a bit and check it over. And then we might flow some solder on top of it to improve the sealing ability.
How much water have you been drinking, boy? Come on, aim for the hole.
I'm a little messy.
You have a big bladder. Okay, done. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Oh my gosh.
Alright guys, well sure enough, I've got a leak. Leak on my weld. Well, these welds are giving me fits. I originally tried to make the welds look nice and pretty. Had a few leaks the first time around, went back over it, thought I sealed it up. Continually having new leaks pop up everywhere. I think I just about got it sealed up, but man, it's not pretty anymore, that's for sure. Well, after the 10th time testing this tank, I still have a little leak right here. So I'm gonna clean this up and do a little more welding around the edges. It's just crazy. First I need to get rid of the water. Each time these welds are getting uglier and uglier. Another problem I've had is with these lap joints down here. Yeah, these are pretty ugly too. And the problem I'm having with these is that when this tank was made, they have some kind of a chemical, a flux or something inside. And as I'm welding the metal, the flux inside flares. I'm not sure what it is, but it flares up and tends to burn holes in this area all the way across. You know, wherever you have these little diamond ridges, that's a risk spot for a blowout. This is where it was leaking before, right there. Oh, look at that. Still leaking. So, back in the garage. At this point, I just have to grind it down a bit before I weld it anymore. It's just too thick. So here goes. Alright, so I ground down that whole weld there. And look at that. You see it? There goes the leak. I had that blue tape pointing right at it. There it goes. Alright. There are my welds there. So I can do good welds when I have to, if I have to. And although I've got this tank leak-free, I'm kind of worried how long it's going to stay leak-free. And repairing a gas tank after it's had gas in it is a lot more dangerous than fixing it now. So I tried a couple of methods to improve the situation. I tried to silver solder it using flux, both the solder flux and plumbing flux. Neither solder method would stick to the gas tank. You could just take a screwdriver and pop it right off. So then I went to Home Depot and bought their bronze brazing rods and tried that. Again, the bronze would just pop right off. The flux was not working for me at all. So I did a little more research and I went out and bought non-fluxed bronze silicone brazing rods from Amazon. Blue Demon brand. Silicone bronze, 1/8 of an inch. I probably should have got the 3/32, because this is a little fat. It's 3.2 millimeters, probably about a 2 millimeter rod would have been better for this thin 22 gauge sheet metal. But it appears to be working. I've already brazed one side, so I'm going to show you how I do it over here. Now there we go. And we'll heat it up about 20-30 amps. Put some heat in the metal. Add the rod. Then I'm going to zigzag it back and forth and make it flow out across the old weld. And like I was saying before, my TIG skills aren't very good. So if I can do this, you guys can too. I love the way the bronze follows the heat. I haven't had a blowout yet. Oh, it's had a blowout. Woo! I'm going to stop right there. Alright, so I just have my first blowout there. So that metal was super thin. Like I said, that probably would have started leaking on me down the road. So now, what I'm going to do to fix that, first I'm going to let it cool down a little bit. And then I'm going to add some braze around this outside edge. Build this up nice and easy. And then we'll slowly go around in circles until we can fill it in. A little More there, more filler. And let's go around in circles and see if that'll close it. Look at that. Look at that, boys and girls. Gonna let that blend in. Woo, buddy. Alright, well, I'm not going to bore you with doing the whole thing because it's going to take me probably an hour or more to do the entire tank. So, fast forward, and then we'll clean it up, and then we'll try to get this thing installed. So I finally got all the leaks in that gas tank sealed. And I am going to spray some of this Eastwood epoxy primer on that tank just to give it a little bit more resistance to leaking. I did this, oh gosh, how long has it been? 10 years ago? And it worked pretty well for many, many years. And I don't think I spent quite so much time getting rid of the leaks back then. So anyway, I hope this stuff's still good. This is leftover from my Jeep project, I think. Yeah. Can't hurt, let's give it a try. Alright, so fueled up, the battery's installed, we've got power, I can hear the fuel pump. So let me grab my helper and we'll fire this thing up. Hey there, helper. Want to get some video real quick? Let's see if we can get the fuel pressure gauge on there. You see that thing there? It's kind of dark.
You want me to just...
Yeah. Can you see it?
To me it looks blurry. I don't know if it's blurry or not.
It's kind of dark to me. You move?
I moved to like 9.
Where?
9, below the 10.
9, that's it?
Yeah. Now it's around 40, 35. It's going down.
Fire in the hole.
Okay.
Alright, so got the Trans Am running again. We got the twin Waldbro pumps running in series. That means one pump is running all the time, but it can only support, I don't know, your guess is as good as mine, 400 horsepower, 450, something like that. And then I've got the other pump set up to come on with a throttle switch. So when I get into it 3/4 throttle, the second pump comes on. And so now I need to wash this thing and take it out, have some fun. Gas tank, would I do it again? That was a lot of work. That was a heck of a lot of work. They don't make gas tanks the way they used to. This gas tank was fairly thin gauge steel and ran into issues with burning through, even with the 025 wire. And yeah, that was rough. You know, did the brazing thing, even coated it with some epoxy primer. So a lot of steps went into making this a viable fuel tank. Would I do it again? Probably not. Okay, unless you're dirt poor like I am right now, and I'll go into that in another video. Man, it's just not worth your time. I mean, I probably got 12 hours plus of labor in this tank. It was a lot, and maybe 15. It was a lot of hours, and I just can't see it economically viable to do another tank like this. So if this tank ever springs another leak, and I'm probably just going to throw it out and buy a nice tank from Rick's Tanks or one of those places that sell the narrow tanks for pro touring vehicles like this. Those tanks will probably even be deeper than the one I have, so I can maybe get back some of my lost volume. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for my next video, and Corvette, real quick on the Corvette. We'll talk about the Corvette another day. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. More videos to come soon. Peace.